At Canadian Tire, we carry the best names in hockey. Bauer, Cooper, CCM, but we're just a... There's a new pet.
Chia.
Chia Pet, the pottery that grows.
You know it's bad when a woman wears lipstick and gets accused of setting feminism back. Back then, a woman would wear curlers to bed so she could look good for her man. Now, we get natural beauty, which means greasy bangs, a nose ring, and the personality of a pylon. Used to be, you compliment a woman and she smiles. Now she reports it to HR and writes a Medium post called My Assault in the Break Room. Spoiler, it was Jerry from accounting, and all he said was, nice necklace. You know it's true. You know it's true.
Ladies, are you living a conventional, content, committed life with your significant other? Well, feminism can fix that right up. Included with your membership, you'll learn to radicalize your daughters, project all internal misery onto external systems, feel empowered by being perpetually offended. Subscribe today and you'll receive our exclusive girls box set, a comprehensive guide to buying and naming your first cat, and a personalized starter pack of vintage traumas to misplace your rage onto complete strangers. You'll even learn how to weaponize a minor inconvenience into a systemic oppression narrative, which comes in real handy when you choose to divorce your loving husband. But wait, there's more. If you call in the next 10 minutes, we'll throw in monthly sessions on how to be a jackass in your Kia fart, how to hate yourself and everyone else, and exclusive tutorials on replacing human connection with HR-approved language. Feminism, TM. Because nothing says empowerment like being perpetually miserable.
Misogyny, sexism, equality, feminism. We hear these words flung around like truth grenades, meant to shame, signal, divide. But I've been studying the modern woman my entire life, and honestly, it's not rocket science. Something's off. There's real reason to question the fairy tale of girl power and empowerment. Because today's woman is educated, independent, sexually liberated, and statistically less happy than ever. The data's there, buried under hashtags and self-help merch, and even basic observation agrees. She's angry, impatient, commercialized. She demands cake and wants applause for eating it too. She screams for equality, but what she really wants is immunity, promiscuity with prestige, power without pressure, respect without restraint, gender fluidity unless it's time to board the lifeboats. But all this self-denial, it's not liberating. It's breaking her. I could have doom-scrolled X all day to find the same tired talking points, but instead I went straight to the source. Where in the world is Ava San Ontario? Welcome to Feminist Mecca, Austin, Texas, and meet testosterone. You used to call yourself a feminist. What changed?
Everything and nothing. Back then, I thought feminism was about choice and empowerment. Turns out it was mostly about echo chambers and expensive skincare.
When did the mask start to slip?
Somewhere between my fourth therapist and my third cat, I realized I wasn't independent. I was just alone.
What does that mean exactly?
I spent years dunking on the patriarchy and the man only to realize I was just a walking billboard for female TikTok influencers whose entire platform exists to sell products to other women, and that every one of my favorite catchphrases was plastered across Fortune 500 bios on X. How did I miss it?
How did you miss what?
Well, even the most anti-corporate among us are the biggest spenders. Entire industries thrive off our need to buy, while we pretend we're against big business. When we're drooling over $50 tumblers and elbowing each other in Sephora to get our hands on Tatcha and Danessa Myricks, they think because they drench their products in progressive slogans, leaping bunnies, and carbon-neutral packaging, we won't notice the $200 price tags. And for the most part, that's true. Turns out the revolution smells like Stanley's and serum.
Ah, it does, doesn't it?
And the cherry on top? We claim to expose toxic masculinity, yet here we are literally advocating for the importation of it, while we ignore the real victims of gender oppression. Because that would be racist or something?
What about strength and independence? What did that look like?
It looks like brunch with other miserable women, replacing friends with therapists. It looks like buying crystals for clarity instead of admitting I was just lost. It looks like deleting dating apps but re-downloading them 3 hours later after wine and a feminist podcast. Like paying Uber Eats because I don't know how to cook and calling a handyman because I can't fix a damn thing.
What's the moral of the story?
I didn't escape patriarchy. I just outsourced my dependence to Uber, to Amazon, to the government. And none of them love me.
From fathers to governments, from husbands to apps. Freedom, it seems, comes with a subscription. But testosterone isn't the exception. She's the pattern. The same story, different font. Because for all the empowerment campaigns, the data doesn't lie. And while the data shows that young modern women are now the most educated demographic in the West, that education doesn't seem to be doing them many favors. All the woo-woo yoga entrepreneurs will have you believe their life is so complete, as they sell you doTERRA and inner peace. But they all have one thing in common: everything. Their interests, their influences, their hobbies, it's all carbon copy. The Notebook is their favorite film, pumpkin-spiced lattes fuel their day, and Robin DiAngelo is their guiding light. They quote Beyoncé and Taylor Swift like modern-day philosophers, flaunt their pronouns in bios, and wave digital flags for Ukraine. The modern woman, in short, basic, predictable, a walking cliché. She's not rebellious or unique, just algorithmically aligned. It's not hateful to point out that some women were, in many cases, happier before they were taught to rage against everything. It's not hateful to notice that today's loudest female activists, bitter, resentful, emotionally stunted, and allergic to self-reflection, bear little resemblance to the women of the past. Poised, pleasant, responsible, and deeply self-aware. And it's definitely not hateful to criticize a movement that demands power without responsibility. If anything, the irony is staggering that the same crowd screaming about systemic oppression now enjoys state-sanctioned privilege, cultural immunity, and institutional protection. So much so, in fact, that she's shielded from consequence, insulated from critique, even in the production of this episode, and coddled into believing she's a flawless human specimen. But if that's true, and if feminism promised fulfillment, why are so many women still aching to feel whole? Why do they all search for solace in the same tired places? Influencers, hashtags, and hollow mantras sold as truth. Why are the loudest role models always the most bitter? Why are they so angry, fragile, triggered? Show me a feminist who isn't complaining about her place in the world, and I'll show you a unicorn. As for the middle-aged singles, barking at strangers for holding doors, that's not empowerment. That's resentment in drag. That's not grace. That's grief in a power suit. It's not liberation, but elegant despair. And surely, it's not independence. But maybe, just maybe, we weren't built for independence anyway. Maybe we were made for interdependence, the kind you don't fake with filters, or prop up with apps, or hashtag into existence, but the kind that fosters real serenity. The modern woman is miserable because she's living a life built on surfaces and lies. Her activism is just misdirection, a shiny object meant to keep her from recognizing her real power. And no, it's not sexual in nature, and it sure as heck isn't corporate. She'll only know true liberation when she embraces her design and makes peace with its purpose. But if that sounds a little too intentional, maybe it is. Because you know who is still getting married and having kids? Don't tell me this data proves an oppressive male-dominated system that wears on mental health and well-being, when today's woman has more freedoms, rights, and representation than any other woman in history. Instead, consider why all these freedoms and rights don't seem to be enough for her. Maybe ask yourself if her rage and misery is truly organic, more than it is manufactured.